A security camera is meant to give us peace of mind. It hangs silently above store entrances, glows faintly in parking garages, and watches us from the corners of convenience stores. We tell ourselves that if anything were to happen, these quiet, unblinking eyes would protect us, that the truth will always be recorded. But sometimes the truth is captured without explanation. Sometimes the camera shows us everything and answers nothing. And that is the most chilling reality of all. Tonight we open 3 haunting files, cases where the final moments of people's lives or the circumstances of their disappearance were captured on CCTV. Clear evidence that should have solved everything, yet somehow left us with more questions than answers. Texas, 2013. Brandon Lawson was 26 years old, a father of 4, and described by his family as hardworking, stubborn, and deeply loved. He was the kind of man who pushed through hardship with grit, the sort of friend who would give you his last dollar if you needed it. But on the night of August 8th, Brandon's life veered into mystery. That evening, Brandon argued with his longtime girlfriend, Elisa. The fight was intense enough that Brandon left their San Angelo home in the middle of the night, planning to drive to his father's house nearly 3 hours away. He never made it. At 12:53 a.m., Brandon called his brother Kyle and said he'd run out of gas on U.S. Route 277, a desolate stretch of road cutting through rural Texas. Kyle and his wife drove out with a gas can to help, but before they arrived, something strange happened. At 12:54 a.m., Brandon dialed 911. The call, later released to the public, was chilling. His words were frantic, broken, and hard to decipher, but one phrase was clear: "I ran into them." He sounded terrified, out of breath. He told the dispatcher that people were chasing him. Then the call abruptly cut off. When police arrived at the scene, they found Brandon's truck on the roadside, its gas tank empty. But Brandon was gone. His phone, his wallet, and himself vanished into the Texas night. CCTV footage from a nearby truck stop later surfaced, showing Brandon hours before his disappearance. He appeared nervous, pacing, glancing over his shoulder as if someone were following him. Though not as widely circulated as other famous CCTV clips, the footage fed speculation. Was he being chased? Was he hallucinating under the influence of drugs, as some suggested? Or did he stumble into foul play in the dark Texas brush? Search teams combed the area for weeks using helicopters, drones, and cadaver dogs. Nothing turned up. The wide-open landscape seemed to swallow him whole. Theories are endless. Some believe Brandon was paranoid and hiding from imaginary pursuers. Others insist his 911 call proves he encountered something or someone dangerous that night. His family still holds out hope for closure. But 10 years later, Brandon Lawson's disappearance remains an unsolved riddle caught halfway between panic and silence. His last known words recorded, but not explained. Few cases in recent history have mesmerized the public quite like the death of Elisa Lam. Elisa was a 21-year-old college student from Vancouver, Canada. Bright, quirky, and open about her struggles with bipolar disorder, Elisa was known for her active online presence, where she often wrote about books, fashion, and her emotions. In January 2013, she took a solo trip to California, eager to explore new cities and experiences. Her last stop was Los Angeles, where she checked into the Cecil Hotel, a building infamous for crime, tragedy, and decades of dark history. On February 1st, Elisa was reported missing after failing to contact her family. Police searched the hotel but found nothing unusual. Then on February 19th, her body was discovered in one of the hotel's rooftop water tanks after guests complained about the water pressure and taste. The discovery was horrifying enough, but it was the CCTV footage released by the LAPD that propelled Elisa's case into global infamy. The video, recorded by an elevator security camera on the night of January 31st, shows Elisa behaving in ways that are both unsettling and inexplicable. She enters the elevator wearing a red hoodie and black shorts. She presses multiple buttons, but the elevator doors don't close. She peeks out into the hallway as if someone is there. She hides against the wall, then jumps back in, frantically pressing more buttons. Then she steps out, gesturing strangely with her hands, almost as if communicating with someone unseen. Her movements are exaggerated, jerky, and hauntingly childlike. Finally, she walks away, and the elevator doors close. That was the last time Elisa Lam was seen alive. Theories exploded online. Some believed she was suffering a mental health episode brought on by her bipolar disorder and possibly the side effects of her medications. Others insisted the footage showed Elisa being stalked by someone, that her frantic behavior was a desperate attempt to escape, and still others spun supernatural explanations, pointing to the Cecil Hotel's infamous reputation as a place cursed by tragedy. The official cause of death was ruled accidental drowning, complicated by her bipolar disorder. No evidence of foul play was found, but for many that conclusion only deepened the unease. How did Elisa access the water tank in the first place? Climbing a locked ladder and lifting a heavy lid? Why did the elevator behave so strangely, refusing to close its doors? And why does the footage itself appear to have missing time, as if minutes were edited out? To this day, the haunting image of Elisa Lam's final moments, captured on CCTV, continues to fuel debates, documentaries, and endless speculation. It is a reminder that sometimes the camera sees everything and still leaves us in the dark. Our final story takes us to Europe, where the disappearance of a young German man became one of the internet's most discussed mysteries, thanks to a single piece of CCTV footage. Lars Mittank was 28 years old when he traveled with friends to Varna, a resort town on the coast of Bulgaria, in the summer of 2014. By all accounts, he was a friendly, athletic man, excited for a week of sunshine and fun. But the trip quickly turned strange. After a minor altercation at a bar with another group of tourists, Lars suffered an ear injury and was advised by a doctor not to fly until it healed. His friends returned to Germany, but Lars stayed behind alone. That decision would change everything. Over the next few days, Lars's behavior became erratic. He called his mother, whispering that men were following him, that his life was in danger. He changed hotels, seeming paranoid and restless. His mother urged him to come home. On July 8th, he went to the Varna airport to book a flight back to Germany. What happened next was captured on CCTV. Footage shows Lars entering the airport medical office for a final checkup. Suddenly, he bolts upright, looks terrified, and sprints out of the room. He runs through the terminal, abandons his luggage, and dashes out the doors into the parking lot. Cameras capture him running past the fence line, disappearing into a field of tall grass. He was never seen again. Theories abound. Some believe Lars suffered a psychotic break, possibly triggered by a concussion or reaction to antibiotics. Others insist his paranoia was justified, that he was being followed, perhaps targeted in connection to the bar fight. The footage, however, only raises more questions. Why did he run? Who, if anyone, was he fleeing from? To this day, the video of Lars Mittank sprinting through Varna Airport has been replayed millions of times, each frame dissected for clues. Yet nearly a decade later, no trace of him has been found. He remains a ghost, last seen by the unblinking eye of a camera. 3 stories, 3 lives, 3 mysteries caught on camera, but never explained. Brandon Lawson's panicked voice still echoes in the static of a 911 call, paired with footage that suggests he was running from something unseen. Elisa Lam's final elevator ride has become one of the most infamous viral videos of our time, chilling in its ambiguity. And Lars Mittank's sprint through an airport remains one of the most haunting disappearances ever captured by CCTV. We are taught to trust the camera, to believe it will give us answers, but sometimes the camera only records the questions. And perhaps that's the most terrifying truth of all, that even with the evidence in plain sight, some mysteries refuse to be solved. But what do you believe? Were these tragedies the result of accidents, mental breaks, or foul play lurking in the shadows? The story doesn't end here, and your voice matters in keeping these cases alive. So if these mysteries unsettled you, if you felt the same chill that these families still live with, don't let the story fade into silence. Share your thoughts, your theories, and your questions. And most importantly, stay with us because there are more cases, more tapes, and more unanswered questions waiting in the dark. After all, the camera never blinks.